Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here. And we get ready to talk about Churchill Downs Saturday, a late pick 5 sequence. It is a fantastic card. On Saturday at Churchill, it's the all 2-year-old card with 12 races, all maiden special weight allowance or stakes races, couple graded stakes races on the card. I think overall we have 5 stakes races. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 graded. And everything is 120,000 and above with the purses. So it's just a great day of racing at Churchill on Saturday. We're going to get into the late pick 5. I say me, and my good friend Barry Spears. And as we get closer to Thanksgiving, recording this early in the week on Tuesday, November the 26th, I am very thankful for my good friend here, Barry Spears. The last couple of years, man, we've done a lot of work together, a lot of hours talking races, a lot of hours talking back and forth, chopping it up, not talking races, but I appreciate you very much, buddy. And as we all do talk about what we're thankful for in the next few days, in the next week or so, very thankful for all the time you've given me and a good friend like you, man.
Hey, I don't think there's enough time in this podcast or even another one for me to express how thankful I am for you.
Oh man, that's nice. Appreciate that.
But it's funny. I was talking to my wife about that same thing. We've been doing this for a long time. I mean, considering going back to Derby Wars like 3-4 years ago. I mean, it just time flies, and you know what? I would have never even thought about it until you brought it up last time, and then I talked to my wife, and I was like, man, we've been doing this for quite a bit. So yeah, I'm kind of proud of it because we've been consistent.
Exactly. Even as things have changed in many different ways, we were doing stuff, with different people through the years. As you mentioned, I think from the beginning early on, I was doing the previous radio show that you jumped on a couple times. We had stuff that we did with Darren, with Caleb, different times in podcast. And then obviously with Matt for a long time with This Week in Stable Duel. We were doing those in the mornings. It's just a ton of different ways that we were doing things through the years. You and I did Del Mar stuff one time, like each of and all different tracks wherever there's big racing. So it's been very consistent. Have not had many weeks where we've missed more than like a week or haven't done something in some way, shape, or form. So very lucky to have someone like you and be able to talk races with you. So now that we got the sappy stuff out of the way, let's get to business. We've got some racing to talk about in a really good card on Saturday at Churchill. We're recording early in the week, though, so as we talk, there won't be odds out yet. Probably won't be till another day or two after Barry and I record. But right now, all the way through December the 2nd, DRF has the Black Friday sale going on. So use that promo code BF2024, shop.drf.com, everything you need. If you're clocker reports, past performances, all the help that you need playing the races, Gulfstream Park opens on Thanksgiving. Fairgrounds just opened up. We're about a month away from Santa Anita. Oaklawn Park going to be in the mix. So if you're playing those tracks, you're going to be getting lots of past performances. Take advantage right now and save. Barry, I love these 2-year-old cards that Churchill throws out there. These all 2-year-old cards, they're so much fun. I mean, every race throughout the day. And I will say it does sort of help and make the handicapping not necessarily easier, but sometimes a little quicker because you're watching races that have a lot of overlap or horses that may come out of same races. Some of them step up into stakes. Others are down in the maiden special weight races. So Saturday at Churchill, it is all about the 2-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, these cards are really tough, especially when they're going long, per se, in a lot of these races with these 2-year-olds, because you get these wacky pace scenarios and it's a opportunity for a lot of chaos, and that's the stuff that I like.
I've just really enjoyed Churchill over the last few weeks, and normally this isn't the time of year where I just maybe haven't had as much success in previous years or hadn't played as much, but so far the last few weeks been seeing the ball pretty well here. Let's hope that continues on and we can lead you to some prices. Barry, let's start in race number 8. So we're going to look at a maiden special weight, a couple of graded stakes races, and then another stakes race right in the middle for this late pick 5 sequence. This is 2-year-olds going long on the turf, a mile on the turf course. These are the 2-year-old boys. Some of the horses that I think will, be major players in here. I will say it's a tricky race to start because you just don't have horses that are, I think, overwhelming favorites or horses that have really, really good races last time out. Some horses that ran fine, that ran well. Ornato was a sprinter. Both of those races sprinting are pretty good, but he's going to have to stretch out. Also imagine horse like Anagata will take a good amount of money here coming off that third place finish at Keeneland, was a runner-up at Kentucky Downs prior to that. Those are horses that I'm sure will take some money, but I mean, like Anagata was 38-1 last time out against maiden special weights, right? So we're not talking about a horse who was a heavy favorite and got beat and will probably be an overwhelming favorite back here. I feel like the money could be spread around in this race quite a bit because it just doesn't seem like there are that many horses who have run really great races under these circumstances going long on the turf.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a dartboard situation where, you got all these horses doing different things. Coming into this race, any of these horses could be any kind. I mean, you could have an absolute turf monster out of these horses. We just don't know yet. One horse that piqued my attention just because of the pedigree is Dark Danger.
Yep.
The full sister is 2 for 3 on the turf, and this one's getting on the turf for the first time. Has a nice little work on November 24th. I don't see any problem with that horse, depending on the price. Obviously, you don't want to take too short of a price on a horse like that didn't really run a step, but you can't dismiss this horse altogether. I don't believe.
Yeah, and expect some improvement, some like steady in the mornings. The last couple coming out of that race last time out. No, and that's what we're doing here with most of these horses. We're projecting. I mean, the 3 ran okay last time. That was improvement. And when you look at the debut and then that race, you kind of put those together. They're fine. Lost to a horse named Clock Tower in a pretty good race on August 29th in between those. So of the horses that have run around this, Hard as Life was fine. I probably would lean towards Power of Will as one of the horses I am expecting to really take a big step forward here. Kind of ran in spots in that one, Barry. Kind of like you could see there was some ability. It just didn't put it all together there. Got shuffled back in between horses a little bit, but it looked like something to build off. And when we were talking about just pedigree too, you look at this one who has a couple sibs that were all turf winners. I think 3 of them that tried the grass. The only other one tried it once on the turf. And so the other 3 that raced on the grass all won on the grass. You have a multiple winner. And these were all like, allowance horse, sort of a stakes horse, stakes place runner. So there's definitely some pedigree there. And just the expectation, I think, for this horse to be a little bit better second time out. I'll be throwing Power of Will in the mix. And the race has already come back live. Lucky Mischief came back to win next time out, a maiden special 8 with a 64 buyer. So, and that's the thing, like there's not this Culture Wars and other. The races on the turf are okay. They're fine. They're just not overwhelming. So for any of these horses winning, I don't really want to take too short of a price on anyone in this race.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't want to. I know one first time starter that really piqued my attention, and I'm gonna be probably looking to bet this horse is Flexible Terms.
Yep.
Has some decent pedigree. I don't, if memory serves me correctly, I'm not looking at it on the pedigree.
So the Dam was a 3-time winner on the turf and was multiple graded stakes place. Actually crossed the wire first in a graded stakes and then was DQ'd, but was solid, just going long on the turf.
I don't think she's dropped a sibling that's won on the grass yet, but they were close. And I think this horse might have some ability here.
Yeah.
And I think this is worth a shot, especially if the price is right.
And there's no monsters in here. There's nobody
exactly.
that scares you.
Exactly. A horse like this for a barn that does well with these types could be a good bet in this spot.
Yep. Absolutely. I think in a pick 5 situation, you want this horse. And I will unfortunately have to use a few in here. I just don't have as strong of an opinion as I would like. The War of Will, the Sick, or Power of Will, the 6 will be in the mix. The first timer who Barry mentioned, Flexible Terms, I had in the 3rd spot. I thought the 4, just with the possibility of this horse flashing speed, stretching out. I definitely want to use him because he may be the quickest in here if he sneaks away. I just want to make sure I have him on the ticket. And Barry mentioned the 1, Dark Danger, as another one who has the ability to really improve on the grass in here. Yeah, like that's the thing. Hard as Life and Culture War are fine with some of the turf experience. I'm not as excited to want to bet them. Anagata has been fine. It makes a lot of sense. I'm looking for a little more of a price in here because I'm just not overwhelmed by what they've done. And Barry, it looks like you are kind of looking for like a new face here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these are tough races, man.
This is a really tough race. Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's good that this race is at the beginning of this pick 5 because you can kind of read the board a little bit and see
who's taking the action,
who's getting action, who might be live, getting the smart money, that kind of thing.
Let's move to the grade 2 goldenrod. So we have 2-year-old fillies here. Maybe you'll see a Kentucky Oaks type filly for next year in this one. And there are a couple really talented fillies, like the 1 Eclatant. Both races have been very good. They've been sprinting, so she's now going to have to prove it, stretching out from 6 furlongs to a mile and a 16th. But talent absolutely is there. The 3 Good Cheer. She debuted at Indy, but her races visually are extremely impressive. She won her second start on the slop at Churchill by 17. And whenever that happens, you're always like, okay, well, that was in the slop. A horse probably just took to it. And a lot of the others in the field, it was a field of 5. They didn't really like it. But she came back in the rags to riches, and she made a big move, really big move. And she got squeezed back early. She was bumped at the start. She was back to last of 5 going into the turn. And she just angled around and just went right on by. It was visually pretty impressive. Quiet Side's multiple grade 1 placed. I don't know if she really wants to go that far, but she's one of the more proven in here, no doubt about it. So those will probably be some of the top contenders that at least take a lot of the money in here. Barry, who's on your radar?
Yeah, good cheer is going to be ultra tough, I think. It's kind of one of those situations that I explained last time, where you have a horse with 2 buyers that are bigger than everybody else's last 2 races, and that's what you're going to get in Good Cheer. And like I said last week, it's a high percentage play, no matter how you look at it. Now, this horse could get beat in this spot. There are some alternatives, but with that notion in mind, you're going to have to kind of
make your decision.
Yeah, and pick a horse that you might think will jump up in speed figures for this particular race. And the only way you could really do that is if there was a kind of a pace advantage. I think one thing that did stand out to me, other than Good Cheer, his record, and his last 2 races, was Sturgeon Moon's
that's
jump
my
up.
Yep, that's the one I like. That's exactly the one I like.
Yeah, I mean,
let's
you can't
watch.
ignore that jump up in buyer speed figure and how well this horse ran under less than ideal circumstances.
So as you're talking,
trip
keep talking. This is the number 2 in the race that we're going to watch right here. I wanted to pull this race up because
this horse battled, overcame a lot of different things in this race and still won, kind of closing fast. And that's nothing to shake a stick at when young horses like this are able to pass. But you'll see he kind of settles in.
And right here, kind of
back,
bumping around right here, kind of trying to find a spot. So he's able to sit, or she was able to get a good start and be close, but she's just in some traffic right here. She's really in a tough spot in between, but she's only about a length and a half, 2 lengths off or so. But now is when it gets really tight because the horse to the outside, 2 of them come up outside of her, and now she's in the 2 path among 4, and she's in really tight, and she's got nowhere to go. Like, she wants to go, so she's got to just back all the way up to last here. Like, she keeps going and going and going, and she's all the way back from when she was in really nice positioning just behind the leaders, and it really wasn't her fault. Like, she had just nowhere to go. That's just bad racing luck. That wasn't even like she made a bad decision. It was like, the horse is to the outside, early move, and she got stuck. And right now, if you bet her, you think you're in serious trouble. Because she just looks like
you're in serious trouble.
Right? She looks like she's done. She's dead last on the inside at the back. And now watch. She just sort of waits waits, and now she gets some room. And this is really visually impressive. And this is when I'm okay with playing horses where their speed figures are a little less, because I'm watching what she did here. And after that, she moves down to the inside. She still doesn't look like she's going to win this race at all. And she just keeps coming down to the inside. This was her first start going long. And heck, this was the first time she was more than a length behind horses. Her other couple races, Barry, she was right on the lead and sitting really close. So in each of her races, she's really progressed on the speed figures. And this kind of does happen sometimes when horses come from a smaller track. Those speed figures aren't quite as big. Those races aren't quite as fast. But then you jump up and you face better and you can step up with the company. I would not be shocked to see this horse take another step forward. Remember, she can sit closer too. She doesn't have to be what it looks like in the running line, where it looks like she was towards the back. She was right behind that first flight, and she was showing legitimate sprint speed in the other couple. I think I respect both the 1 and the 3. Could see either one of them. The 3, really impressive visually. The 1, maybe this horse can get the lead from the inside. They get aggressive, and maybe she's just really nice. I'm not as high on Quiet Side. I might use Sturgeon Moon with those other 2.
Yeah, I would go thin. My idea would be to go thin here and just use good cheers, Sturgeon Moon, and kind of maybe Quiet Side, because I think that horse just in general will sit a good trip. Whether she's good enough or not is another story. But I think that horse will get a nice trip in this race. So,
and that's the thing. Like, I don't think she's that good overall. Like, watching her races, she's fine. She's not flashy. And I don't really know if she wants to go that long, but she still might be able to get a really good trip, and like turning for home, she's going to be right in the mix here, it feels like, right?
Yeah, getting away from immersive can't be a negative. It has to be a good thing here.
We don't really know what the rest of this field quite is, and we know she's pretty solid as a graded stakes horse.
Oh yeah, I mean she's proven. She stakes placed, and it's just a matter of trips, and it could be a rider's race,
So I'm a little higher and probably going to use Eclatant, as we said, just because I could see there being a version of this race from the inside where they just get aggressive and go on with it. I liked her a lot off of her debut, and she missed a bit of time. And then she showed back up on October 4th at Keeneland, and it was exactly what you would hope for, coming off of a few months, just sat second, right behind. But we didn't see her progress on the speed figures. It wasn't like she went down a bunch. She basically ran the same type of race. I think it'll be a different trip for her here, because I think they're just going to have to try to get aggressive with her. So, yeah, I'll be including her probably, but it's funny that we both kind of got to Sturgeon Moon, who will likely be a pretty fair price in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't ignore the improvement when that horse stretched out, got the terrible trip, and still won. It's got to play for something. Even if this horse, let's say, doesn't really run all that great in this race, you got to think that there's that talent in there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give up on this horse and see this one through.
It's another little small thing. Like, the barn has had a great start to the meet, right? All these horses are running. They've already won with 6 of their 13 starters at the meet, and then a couple more seconds. So everything this barn is sending out has been really live too. And we see that happen where, like any sport, you go through these hot stretches where you start making the right moves, and then you get confident, and then you get a little more confident. So maybe you get more aggressive, or maybe you just run another horse that, you just start thinking a little differently when you're doing well. And, then what ends up happening, all the horses kind of cycle through, and then they all have to step up, and then you kind of get through a cold stretch, because they have to face a little bit tougher, or they move up into stakes company. But right now, maybe we keep riding it out for this barn, who's been really doing well to start. A fun version of the grade 2 golden rod. Anything else you want to mention on this one, buddy?
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff on there. Let's get to the 10th race. This one is the Fern Creek. It's a 6.5 furlong stakes race. Fillies, 2 years old, going 6.5, $225,000. So major players in here. The One Echo Sound, 3 for 3, visually impressive. You've got She's So Spicy, Gulfstream Park winner by 16 lengths on the front end, just absolutely crushed a group back in October. Extremely impressive there. You'll also have towards the outside, Impulse Buy was very good last time out, finishing second, and was an 11 length winner at Keeneland. So, Barry, we've got a couple monster winners in this race, horses who broke their maiden by big, big margins here. Who is one or a couple that you want to start with?
There is a just ridiculous amount of speed, it
It,
looks like, in this race.
I know. So inside to out, Echo Sound doesn't want to be too far out of it. And when you have the rail draw, it could sometimes force a horse like this. Atomic City's only win came on the lead. Holly Grove showed speed last time out. She's so spicy, very, very quick. Praying, really quick. Cotilliard's one of a few that could be sitting. She's a funky drummer, really quick, was showing speed going 4.5. Rosado, very, very fast. Impulse Buy cutting back a little bit. I'm intrigued by maybe sitting off the pace trip, but my governor definitely wants to go. Viral Plain Lady outside, blinkers on, definitely wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, anybody in this race that you think can rate slightly, you got to have to give them a little leg up, and that includes Impulse Buy, who I'm not really enthused about in this race. Kind of was ridden out in the debut, or actually the second time out, when the horse broke the maiden at Keeneland, and came back, ran an okay race. Seems too bit of an obvious choice in everything. It's too much of a Captain Obvious pick in a race like this. On paper, the horse looks like it's supposed to win, but these are 2-year-olds, and they come in and out of form, a lot, especially towards this time of year. A lot of people are getting that one last race in before, they might put them on the shelf until the spring, and you might not get what you're seeing in the past performances. So a horse like She's a Funky Drummer is really interesting to me.
Man, that's
For
so
the
funny that you went to her too. That's exactly the one that I would go to. But talk us into She's a Funky
Well,
Drummer.
the idea is that this horse was probably out of sorts in that distance at a mile and a 16th on the turf in the Jessamine. Cuts back, will probably be able to sit a little bit. Shown the ability to do that in the past. That 5 furlong race at Prairie Meadows kind of proves that. And if that is the kind of trip this horse is going to get going this far, um, well, not this far, but 6.5 furlongs, I think that's perfect for a
So
horse like this.
if you're looking at her and you're maybe a little worried because her speed figures are maybe a little light if you think you're trying to compare her to a horse like Impulse Buy. I always love finding horses like this where their speed figures are light when I know the horses that they faced. Because look at who she faced last time out, Mayday Ready, who you pinged, Barry, on October the 4th. You had this horse in the Jessamine. You gave that out on one of our shows at 9-2. She came back and ran second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. So if you're a little bit worried about, okay, I'm not exactly sure if She's a Funky Drummer has faced tough enough company. She faced these horses that all came back and ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Destino d'Oro, I was going to bet in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, but they decided not to run her there, and she's going to be, she was going to be pointed something else down the line or maybe for next year. The top horses in this race were all legitimate graded stakes horses. And then at Kentucky Downs, she's in a race where she's behind Kilwin, who comes back and runs fifth in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. She's in front of Abiento, who comes back and wins the Matron and then runs in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. She beats a horse named She's All Charm, who comes back and wins a non-2 at Keeneland before then trying Stakes Company. So, I mean, she's knocking heads and beating really quality horses, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really knock her form. I mean, the only thing that she really hasn't done was run a speed figure that on paper is comparable to the best in this
Yep.
field. Now, that's not very many. I mean, Echo Sound is running 84 last out, and you got impulse buy with 283s, and everybody else is pretty much the same.
Yeah, she's so spicy, hit into 80. But another like kind of counter to that even would be her last two races are on the turf, and the dirt speed figures are generally faster than the turf overall, especially at younger distances where they're running a little bit faster. So her first two races were just like I was saying before at smaller tracks, smaller circuits at Hawthorne and at Prairie Meadows. Would it be all that crazy that she just got a little lower speed figures there than she might have? And those were a couple months ago. Those were earlier on in the 2-year-old season now. We're a couple months after that. She's probably better developed. Now she's cutting back. She's going to make the third start of her form cycle. She's actually faced way better horses now. So she might just be improving and getting better. You know, you practice and you train with better. What happens? You get better, right? You played with some really good basketball players. They beat you up in practice sometimes, but it makes you better, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's what you want.
It just feels like all systems are go. This is the spot they wanted all along.
She should be a really fair price too.
Yeah, and if she's what I think she's going to be as far as price, I would say somewhere around the 5-6 to 1 range,
And I agree.
maybe
And above.
low on the low end 4 to 1, but that's okay in this spot.
Well, because the not impulse buy is taking money.
Mm-hmm.
The She's So Spicy is taking money off that big figure and the big win, and the one's taking money. So those three horses are taking more money than her for sure. And
right,
then
but the problem is nobody else after that. And then you put her
it might be
spot.
Praying. Praying would probably be in the next kind of range. Yeah, so if she's like the fifth, sixth choice, that's where, you know, Meat Governor would probably be in that mix with her too. But I think she'll be pretty playable here. And like you said, even though it wasn't much, she just showed us she can sit off a little bit at Prairie Meadows, right? That's what we're looking for here. Horses who can, hey, you know what? They're all lining up. I'm going to take back a couple lengths, and then I can press the button and go.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, that's the ideal trip in a race like this. Because you probably ideally don't want to be on the front end because you're going to catch a lot of pace pressure and stalking. But sometimes they all do that, and then one horse kind of gets a little bit aggressive and they run off. But I don't think that's the situation we have here. There's way too much speed.
No. Yeah, the one's impressive, and the one, it's nice, like you said, she can sit a little bit. There aren't that many horses in here that have proven they can do that. So the rail will be tricky, but if she can take back a couple lengths and then sort of maybe stay out of some of that early traffic and then sort of try to pick her spot, I wouldn't have a problem throwing her into the mix in some exotics. For, as we pointed out, She's So Spicy, just freaky. You never know what to do with a horse like that who wins by 16. It's just doesn't seem like she's going to get an easy trip on the front end. She'll definitely have to earn it in here with speed all over the place and on both sides. Yeah, fun race here. The Fern Creek. Anything else you want to hit on, buddy?
Nope, I think we got it.
Let's get to race number 11. This one is the Kentucky Jockey Club. So we saw the Goldenrod in race 9. That's for the 2-year-old fillies. This one's for the 2-year-old boys. So maybe we see a Kentucky Derby type horse in here, or some horse that could be in the Triple Crown races or big graded stakes races next year. Jonathan's Way is a graded stakes winner. It was only 5 to 1 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. You know, he didn't run that bad, Barry. That was just kind of a very weird race. Like the top two just went on with it, and there wasn't much that happened behind him in the Juvenile. You know, there pretty much everyone behind him just didn't really run. He still earned a decent figure for being beaten 7 lengths in that race. He was a horse that I liked in there. He was in an okay spot. Nobody was moving and nobody really passed at all. The one he's not joking had a powerful win in the gray. Was really visually impressive last time out. Others in here who will get some action. First Resort, a little interesting, was the runner-up in the Saratoga Special, and Sonic Skedaddle's another one who had a pretty nice win visually last time out, but I think it probably starts with Jonathan's Way, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him be a pretty heavy favorite in here.
Yeah, this horse is going to have all the buzz, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this horse is the goods. I mean, you got to think or wonder about that first race this horse had, or the first two, especially the Churchill and the Iroquois. This horse kind of freaked that day and didn't come back and run all that great in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Now that could be one of so many excuses that this horse could have had, being out in Del Mar, or the distance, or post position, trip. I mean, really didn't see anything wrong with the horse's trip, just didn't run well. And it could be a situation where this horse has been caught up with by the others. And that's what I'd be afraid of at a short price with a horse like this, is that, this horse came out the gate, early on and ran well, but those other horses are growing and getting better. And we see it time and time again. Every year after the new year, you see horses that were, champion 2-year-olds, or really good 2-year-olds that you think would be going towards the Derby path, get derailed because they just didn't make that jump up from 2 to 3. This is the time where that kind of stuff happens. I know last year it was West Saratoga that was in a race like this, won, and we didn't really hear from that horse all of this whole year. So I would personally try to look elsewhere. I mean, this horse doesn't exactly stand out. I mean, he's a little bit better than everybody else speed figure wise, but he doesn't stand out to the point where it's like, yeah, this horse is just going to blow these horses away and nobody has a shot. Now, Filoso is a horse that I think might have a shot. Didn't get the best of trips in the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland. And I expect Johnny V to get this horse involved a little bit earlier than he had last time. And I don't really think that it was his fault that the horse was just way back.
He just got outrun. He really had no shot early. They're
right.
still
East
young.
Avenue was really good that day and
He was.
ferocious. Two horses that were really, really good, but this was the best of the rest. And I think that makes a difference in this race, because these horses, I don't believe, are as good as the ones in that race. So you might get a little bit of where Filoso kind of moves up based on the company he was keeping. Now you'll say, oh well, a horse like Tistastic, Chance of McPatrick, then comes back and win 2. But to me, a horse like Filoso has a little bit more upside than Tistastic in this spot.
I'm gonna give one more shot to a horse that I liked a little bit, Dapper Moon. So he comes out of the same race that you're talking about with Filoso. Actually, Filoso went right by Dapper Moon late. They finished within a length of each other, but they just ran completely different trips because Dapper Moon got stuck being
Closer.
the horse that tried to have to go after East Avenue because there was nobody else to push the pace. So he ended up being really close, and he took a big shot at East Avenue, but then he faded and he backed up and he just tired. He might have been, second, or like he was one of the better horses in the race and took a shot. But when you go after the lone speed horse sometimes, and you had finished fourth, and maybe if you were ridden for second, that could have been the case. Then he came back in the street sense, and sort of a similar thing happened. Man, if you bet Dapper Moon there, he hit the top of the lane. Like he was sitting a really nice trip. He hit the top of the lane. He just moved a little bit early. Like it was one of those where he was sitting in such a good spot that they couldn't help but just go. And they opened up, and he still looked like he was going to win. He opened up about 2, but then he just got a little bit weary. And the horse that ran him down that day was Sovereignty. This is a really nice horse. Mm-hmm. Sovereignty, who came back and won nicely for Mott, and he just missed in his second start, and he's earned some big figures in a couple of his races. And the difference between second and fourth was like a head that day. So he was in a 3-way photo, and if you saw that he was second instead of Tistastic, you'd probably like him a little bit more. But I think it was another situation where he made the early move and I like the progression in that he's sitting close, he's moving into it. Now, he may really not want to go that far, but I think he's going to be in a good spot again right here and probably offer us some pretty decent value in this one. So I'm going to give him another shot. I agree with you. Like, I'm kind of hemming and hawing on Jonathan's way because I'm not lining up to bet him or to single him. I do think he's more proven than the rest of the field, but you're absolutely right. As these horses are now getting better, can at least one or two of them jump up and get better than him? Yeah. I mean, even a horse like Sonic Skedaddle, that was a really good effort. This horse was last, and he tipped out at the top of the lane, just widest of all, and just went from like about 5th or 6th and won by 4+. I mean, in just the stretch, this horse made up so much ground and looked like a horse who would enjoy going a little bit longer. If you're trying to beat Jonathan's Way, he's a horse to throw in. I mean, McPeak. Did you see the McPeak horse last week, Barry, the filly at
Yes.
Churchill? The 2-year-old filly that won like a freak show. Let's see if we can find her name here from last weekend. It was Golden Gamble. She only earned a 75 speed figure, but she won by 9, and she didn't move.
Yeah.
She hit the top of the
control
lane in a hammerlock. That was we talked about her last week, and a filly. She actually was a horse I gave out on the radio in a couple spots because I was really high on her in that spot, and I think we both had her towards the top. But yeah, and after a good year like last year, where they had Mystic Dan and Torpedo Anna win a bunch of big races, what's going to happen? You're going to get more good 2-year-olds the next year because people want to be in those big races again. And they just saw this guy and these connections winning a lot of those big races last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just only natural that people feel that way in general. But you know, this race is always interesting because of A, where it's placed, and B, who they get into it. And he's not joking. Why not? I mean, this horse has got a nice 2-turn race, jumped up in speed figures. The only question mark would be the dirt. And I'm willing to take a shot on that anywhere. Doesn't matter where. Horses going from synthetic to dirt.
He's the 6 in this race that we're watching right here. If we're worried a little bit about the dirt, his dam was a 5-time winner on the dirt. Just something to mention. And he's another horse who, so the 6 in this race with the blue cap, he's 2 from the back. In his other 2 starts, his other 3 starts, he was within a length early. He was never farther back than 2 lengths at any point. And now all of a sudden in this race right here, after he takes back so he doesn't get stuck in between, he's 7th of 8, and he's about 8 lengths out of it. So this was a totally different experience for him. He had not been used to this at all. For a lot of horses, they just back up here. But this horse has got some real ability. He tips to the outside. He starts moving, and he just makes this incredible sustained move. Keep in mind, the horses that are towards the front end in there, Shifty is the 3-2 favorite. Daywolf is 5-1. They've got 6-7 length advantages on him. And watch this horse just swoop the field right here and keep on going. This was really impressive.
It's a real good effort. Yeah. And, Practical Jokes are decent horses in general. I think this horse can step up and make some noise in this one.
Because it's like right about here at the top of the lane where he kind of hits wide, and it almost looks like he's going to flatten a little bit. And then watch, he kind of hits another gear.
Yeah, well, he changed leads on cue. I think that makes a lot of difference. I mean, right at the top of the stretch, he changed leads right on time and took off. And, if he can do that again, he's going to be tough, I think.
Yeah, there was
a decent price.
That moment where he looked like he might be flattening, and just like you said, he switches leads and boom, kicks on. That was his first start going long. I had no problem with him. I had him in like the 3rd spot, and another horse that I wanted to use in the pick 5s. I thought the 4 Dapper Moon was an interesting one to start with. Barry starts with Filoso. Jonathan's Way is the horse to beat. We'll see what price he is, how short, and how that ends up playing out. Anything else to mention in the Jockey Club, my friend?
No, that's about it. I really didn't. I wasn't enthused with a lot of horses in here, especially.
I agree.
Way, but I mean, top to bottom, this is a really solid race.
Let's get to the 12th and final maiden special weight horses going 1 mile and a 16th on the main track. You have horse like American Promise, who was the runner-up against maiden special weights last time out. Also, horse like Kalahari Dreams, who was the runner-up sprinting against maiden specials in both of his starts. He'll be stretching out. The when you see the dam Love the Chase, you know what that means? California Chrome. This is the half sister or the half brother to California Chrome here. So with a horse like Buzz Rocket, you expect that this is a horse who can improve a little bit and has some pedigree. And it's not like he's gotten bet or overly bet because of his pedigree before, but look at the breeding on this one. Like the dam of California Chrome, and he's the son of Curlin. They paid $460,000 for him. He's not that fast early. That's been his problem. Like, he hasn't run poorly. He just getting out of the gate so slow. You have a lot of work to do when you spot the field. So wouldn't be shocked to see him continue to improve. Get us inside the mind of Barry for the 12th and final.
Yeah, you don't want to be inside this mind, bro. Not for too long, anyway. I thought kind of the outside horse, or towards the outside, Magnum Force. I thought that horse, first time out for Brad Cox, is very, very interesting, because I don't think this horse is going to get bet. But, especially off the steady stream of works at Turfway, Brad Cox does this quite a bit, man. And I say this all the time. He has these horses that, have a great string of works, and the only thing that really is their kryptonite is the start. I've seen these horses just fall in their faces at the start a lot and disappoint at short odds. But if this one kind of goes the opposite direction, I would take a second look at Magnum Force. I thought Game Day was a little bit interesting off that slow start, and came running late against McAfee at a huge price. I wouldn't want to take too short of a price on a horse like this, but obviously this horse can pass horses. Was 12 back at one point and only ended up 3 behind McAfee. So that does say a little bit something for talent. Limited edition is probably the horse that I would lean towards to bet in this spot. Has the right running style, looks to be getting a little bit better. You can see the progression. I mean, just looking at those 2 running lines this horse has, you can see that this horse placed himself better in the second race than the first. And that, to me, seems to be a horse that's on the improve. And then Kalahari Dreams, kind of the same situation as limited edition.
I'm hoping he's the one to catch here.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best for him, because, on November the 1st, he was right with the leading group, but 3 other horses wanted the lead. So they made the right decision to back up, because otherwise he would have been battling with 3 other horses. The problem is, one of those horses that was battling went on and won. Just dealt with the pressure, and Speed King just kept going. So, man, it was a fine decision by the rider. I would have done the same thing. 3 others, let's back up, let's sit 4th. We'll wait, and then we'll make a move. The horse just didn't stop. Speed King. I think they'll make sure that Kalahari Dreams is really close to the front end here. And I would love if they put this horse right on the front end, because there's not that much speed in here. American Promise isn't really fast. If you notice the 2 races when he's been sitting close, they weren't really going that fast early. He was just kind of up there, and he'll be there if no one else wants to go that fast. But there's not that much proven speed. And I think of these, Kalahari Dreams is the quickest. I just do think this horse, like, he was favored last time out. He's going to be one of the betting choices again in here for sure. So he won't be, I don't think, anything incredible to play. You'll probably get more of a playable price on a horse like Limited Edition, who you mentioned, and I'm completely fine with. I respect a whole lot. I had 4-3 as my top 2.
Yeah.
Like, those are my top 2 in here, which would be Kalahari Dreams and Limited Edition.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting betting wise, especially in the verticals and in this last race. But from a pick 5 perspective, I would tend to think it might be worth a little bit of a spread here.
Yeah.
You don't want to go too deep, because there's some horses I just don't think have a chance. But
what about do we give the Popo a chance in here? Cop?
Oof. I don't know. He kind of got abandoned with Louis Saez, but sometimes those are where the winners come from.
He finished second last time out. He was inside. He was in the 3rd flight, about 3 lengths off. He kind of grinding up to second. The winner snuck up the rail. It wasn't bad. He was fine. It price wise, like, if he's close to where he was last time, if he's in like the 6-1 range, that's fair. If he's below that and he gets bet a little bit, I wouldn't want to play him more under like 5 or 6 to 1.
Throwing one downfield, I thought Sound Cause might be worth a
Absolutely.
second look.
Yep. Great. Completely.
Just because Brody's Cause, was a little precocious. I believe won the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland at 2. And kind of as a distant sort of horse. And that might be to this horse's advantage, especially with all these question marks in here. This horse has been going long. The last 3 races has some foundation, I would think. And that might go a long way in this race, especially if the pace gets hot for whatever reason. You could see a horse like Sound Cause coming late.
I agree. I have no problem using Sound Cause, passing some horses in here, closing out the Churchill Downs Saturday, pick 5. It's a really, really challenging sequence with all 2-year-olds. A lot of these unproven, lightly raced horses who can really jump up in between. And it is on Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. We hope you have a great one with your families and your friends. Stay safe. Enjoy the good food. Get some good shopping in. Don't forget about the Black Friday sale at shop.drf.com. Football, basketball, college football, lots of really cool stuff. They've got like a lot of college basketball tournaments too around this time of year, which are a lot of fun during the holidays, and you'll get the games all throughout the days and stuff. So yeah, really fun holiday weekend coming up. Hope everyone is safe and has a great weekend. Give us some last thoughts here, Barry, and Notorious OTB. Anything you want to plug from there?
No, I mean, listen to us. We do some good work over there. I think we're a little hidden, but we'll be all right.
The Wolf of Oaklawn. Check out the Notorious OTB podcast each and every week, helping you out, giving you some bankroll plays too. Always looking for prices there.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck this weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I will have a lot of individual videos out. So if you're looking for some help, Thursday, Churchill. I'll talk about the late pick 5 there. A couple of graded stakes races on Thanksgiving. Thursday's opening day at Gulfstream. It's the championship meet. I'm going to talk about the late pick 4 there. Some solid races on the card. A good turf stakes race to end the card. There's also some good races on Thanksgiving at Fairgrounds. It's a really good card at Fairgrounds too. Check out that late pick 5. I'm going to have some help for you there. We've got some Friday stuff and then Saturday here with Barry. So check out That's What G Said podcast on the YouTube channel. Lots of videos like this with the Daily Racing Form past performances. Good luck.